We're in the house, brother. It's time. It's going to be a great show. I feel it coming. What's up, everybody? Annibal here, and you're watching Silo Talk Podcast. Today, we have a great guest in the house. He is my brother. He is the CEO and founder of Fight Night Customs. Please help me welcome Mr. Rudy Rubio.
What's up, brother?
Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks for having me, man.
Hell yeah, man. How's everything been, bro?
It's good, man. It's been a long time coming.
I know. You're supposed to be on the show actually a while ago, right?
Yeah, man. It's been crazy.
I know.
Busy, but I think it's the time.
Hell yeah, bro. You know what? I've been seeing your business grow, and I've been seeing your grind, and I really want to say that I'm proud of you, brother, for all the work that you put in for Fight Night Customs.
Thanks, bro.
And all the work that you put in for your fighters and for everybody. So I'm really curious in hearing your story, bro, because I've met you not too long ago. You told me a little bit about, your vision with your company, but I kind of want to dig a little bit deeper, and find out why you do what you do. So why don't we get started? Tell me a little bit about, why you decided to start this brand and what Fight Night Customs is to you.
Sure. It kind of happened by mistake, by accident. I've been in banking, still am, for like 25 years, and lost my pops like 4 or 5 years ago, and kind of like I have anger issues and I don't know how to fight, so it's like not a good combination.
Yeah,
right?
You're the guy they say I see red.
Right. And
like I see red, but you can't fight.
Yeah, I can't fight. And I got to the point where let me just learn how to train.
Yeah.
So my boy Rich Chow and Marcus, they had a program, Alta Warrior program.
Yeah.
Which Conor McGregor's coach started, and it was a 20-week program. So I signed up for it, going through the motions, and then Marcus from Systems Training Center is like, hey, you have to fight at the end of the 20 weeks. And I'm like,
so hold on. So this program was in a gym?
Yeah. So the way it works is they contract gyms all over the U.S. and even internationally.
Yeah.
And then they support the fighters where you take a class and everybody in the class trains together.
Okay.
And then you find a weight class in the middle and you fight. After the 20 weeks, you put to test what you've learned.
Oh, shit.
Like in open, like a legit fight card.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. So and how old were you when this happened?
So I'm 42 and a half now. I was 40.
Wow. So the catalyst for you to decide that you wanted to fight was the passing of your father? Is that what caused you to want to do that?
Well, not even wanting to fight. I just wanted to train.
You just wanted to train. You didn't even know you were going to fight.
No, bro. And my wife was like, before we even got together, she was like not really wanting to know about fighting. It's like, that's crazy. And I'm like, well, hey, guess what's happening?
I'm going to be fighting.
So I was there. We signed up, and all right, cool. We're going through the motions. And then Marcus is like, yeah, so, just figure out who you want to fight at the end of it. And I'm like, I don't have problems with nobody, man. I'm trying to fight.
We want some beef.
Went home, talked to my wife. I'm like, hey, this is happening. And then, I'm very much about process, right? You do something. If you train, there's no way that you're going to, like how training has to be the hardest thing you do. And when you get to the fight, it's kind of like prom night, right?
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, at that point, I was just kind of numb with everything that happened. So I said, you know what, let me just do it. So I said, let's do it. And I trained for 20 weeks. And then in between that, I ran my first day of class. I ran a marathon just so that I can kind of make it really hard for me. Ran with David Goggins through this nonprofit.
No way. You ran with David Goggins?
Bro.
That's sick.
My buddy Marcus has a nonprofit called Liam's Life Foundation because he lost his son through a drunk driving accident.
Yeah.
And then 8 months later, my father passed away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then just kind of going through all that. So training was, I just went numb and just started training hard. And I got my fight. I fought at Commerce Casino.
What weight class did you fight at?
I fought at 170.
170?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have to cut weight?
Yeah.
Or were you already kind of lean at that point?
No, I cut like 15 pounds, and the guy that I fought, he dropped like 30 pounds. I wanted to fight at 165.
Did you know the guy you were fighting? Like
no.
you called him out, like, I want to fight you, or they just gave you someone?
It was in class, and they didn't know the process. It used to be called Wimp to Warrior.
Wow.
And then
what is this program called again?
Alta Warrior.
Alta Warrior.
And it was Wimp to Warrior first, but then they were like, it's a little degrading.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey, little
Come
wimp.
here, little wimp.
Yeah.
Let's get you to fight.
So they changed the name to Alta Warrior. So we're kind of like the OGs of how everything started.
And this is, it's an MMA class. So they teach you like everything, grappling, jiu-jitsu.
You're building
striking.
a house. So they start with just basic fundamentals. Just
How many
footwork.
times a week were you going to the gym?
Every day.
Every day?
Monday through Friday. And then when I couldn't train because of work,
Yeah.
then I took pride with Gabe Silva, Tommy Aaron. They were both in my corner.
Yeah.
Clay Guida would come sometimes, John Robles and Christos, Giagos, like all my friends. I said, now they leveraged me for like financial advice. And I never asked anything from nobody. I'm like, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
And I just stuck to just more of like the stand-up because,
striking.
Because you start on your feet, and then jiu-jitsu, that stuff takes a long time.
Yeah, it takes years to freaking get that shit.
And I'm kind of crazy. So when I get to the ground, then it's just more of like instinct kind of deal. And that's kind of what happened.
Yeah. Tell me how the fight went.
So the fight, I won the fight. The first round, I clipped them pretty good. Like I don't think I got hit once. It was all countering.
Yeah.
Took me to the ground. And they were like, oh, you got to put his head down to get up and all that stuff. And I work in the financial sector. So I knew in my head, I had a conference call that Monday. So I'm thinking about my conference calls.
Like, I hope I don't have a purple eye.
Real. She actually put some makeup on me some of the other training class. So then
That's funny.
I just held him and just to get through the round. And then the second round, same thing, counter, took me to the ground again. And then I somehow almost armbarred him like belly down.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, this guy took me down twice. I'm probably losing. I won all 3 rounds, but then the third round, I just started picking my shots. And then I just kind of went after it and it was just more striking. It was the striking's what got it. And then I got the dub.
So it was a decision. You won by decision?
I won by decision.
Man, so you went the whole way.
Went the whole way. I didn't even know I won. I didn't know what color I was. And they're like, oh, the red corner. And then I was like, oh, cool, man. Congrats. Oh,
congrats. That's me. That's funny.
And then it was just, everything happened so fast and so slow.
So prior to you competing and fighting, were you already involved in the MMA world? Is this something that, you've always had a passion for? How did that come to be? Yeah.
So I lived in New York. I was working in New York in banking, came back and moved in with one of my best friends, John Robles, moved in with him. And then I was always the guy that helped him with financial literacy, banking, like Christos, before he got signed to the UFC, like, hey, open up a business account.
Yeah.
Don't commingle your funds, LLC, all that stuff. So they would come to me to open up their business accounts, fix their credit if they want to buy a house.
You were the finance guy.
The finance guy. So they trusted me with that. I was just known as that. But then for 10 years, I was always the middleman. Like John, when he fought under George as well, I would help his merch, but I was a middleman all the time. I got a charter bus and say, okay, you buy a tickets to and from the fight, sponsorships, T-shirts, and I was always doing that. And then, just the middleman for 10 years, and then come full force with Terrion Ware when he fought on the first UNF card. Yeah, George, such a cool guy. He let me go there and sell merch for Terrion. Yeah. So I'm there. My wife is like 8 months pregnant with me. We sold all of Terrion's merch, and then I was like, "Hey man, where's the UNF merch?" And George is like, "Oh, I think we have some, but it was just so crazy that day." And we're like, "Bring it out." Brought out the merch. I started selling something, and then I went out to get more content. And my wife is literally, she sold everything. Yeah. And then I had a wad of cash, and I gave it to Chris, and then George just hit me up. He's like, "Hey man, like we want to see if you want to come and work with us, see whatever it is." And then started selling merch with them, and then I built Fight Night Customs through all that just because of conversations I had with my boy Clay Guida after I fought. He's like,
so at this point, you didn't even have Fight Night Customs. It was just an idea, maybe?
It was an idea, and what happened was after I won my fight, I sat down, Clay sat next to me, and he's like, "Hey man, something's going to happen. I don't know what it is, but just, you should do something." And then this random dude comes up to me, gives me a hug. He's like, "Hey man, like I had a pretty cool speech when I won." And he's like, "Hey, I thought you were going to lose, number one." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man." Question marks then. Yeah. And he's like, "Hey, you really inspired me. Thank you." And I just talked about, mental health and kind of like what I did to get through it and just, fail faster to succeed quicker and just all these little nuggets of things that I said. And I started this thing called the President Gift Foundation. And that's kind of what started me to work with more fighters. But it was more around, I want to do things with mental health, right? Yeah. And as I'm selling merch and I'm helping fighters, they needed shorts. And I was like, let me see if I could do it. So I just went on YouTube, figured out what machines you need. Yeah. Started doing their merch. And then little by little, like I already knew a lot of the fighters, and I think UNF kind of saw that. And then it was just the perfect storm with everything. So every fight, every month, every week, I would just get better at my craft and just keep learning about it. And then I just kind of became the guy where, since I've already fought, the fighters trusted me even more, even beforehand, not even from the financial aspect, but you know, once you fight and you're in there, it's just different because it's a level of respect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's
cause,
gnarly, bro.
Not many people will go into a cage, into a ring, to fight another person and challenge themselves. You know, a lot of men, you know, feel like they know how to fight. You know, and they're like, oh, I'll beat up anybody, you know.
Oh, man.
But there's a big difference between, you know, acting tough and knowing how to fight. You know, and when it comes to a combat sport, it's even more technical because you're fighting in a ring where there's rules and regulations. You ain't got a gun. You ain't got a knife. No. There's not a chair they can hit me with. You don't have your 10 homies. You can't run away.
Right.
You're stuck in this fucking cage for 3 to 5 minutes. There's a referee there where you can't like do some crazy shit, hit me behind the head or kick me in the nuts or do anything.
Yeah.
You better know what you're doing. And it's a game of conditioning. It's a game of athleticism.
Bro.
And it's a game of knowledge. Like if you know your timing, you know how to actually fight, then you will destroy the other person, you know. And people don't get it. They think like a fight is like because people see like movies all the time, right? And that's their depiction of fighting. Like they see like, oh, there's a bar scene in a bar fight in a movie and the guy gets a purple eye, or they punch someone or like your favorite actor gets in like this crazy fight and at the end of the scene he still looks all glamorous and shit, you know, his hair's all perfect still. In a real fight, you will break your nose, you will break your orbital wall, you will dislocate your shoulder, and it's months, years, and maybe sometimes a lifetime of pain and agony from that one moment where you wanted glory, you know? So for a person to actually first make the decision that they want to compete and they want to fight, there has to be a big reason for that. Like, why? Why do you want to do this?
What's your why? Yeah. And it's like...
So for you, what was that? Well, I'm curious, like why did, and especially, you know, because the fight game is a young man's game because it doesn't matter. Father time hits everybody. Name your favorite fighter in the world. At one point in time, they're going to get where they get slower. Age hits them. They have an injury. They can't train as hard as they used to. Their conditioning gets lower. Their weight is harder for them to cut weight. And it's just a process of time that happens to everybody. So you're already kind of like in your later years when you're fighting. So what was it, brother? Did you want to challenge yourself? Did you need it to prove something? I'm very curious in knowing why you decided to do that.
Honestly, I needed an outlet. Like I just needed to feel something, you know, and I have 3 sisters and my mom now, my dad's gone. And I'm just like, man, it was more for myself, you know, just to get my mental right. And I think like, I have so much respect for combat sports because like, you're right. The toughest person can be tough, but when you get in there, I don't care how good you are. They were saying your heart will walk out that cage if you're not in shape. The lactic acids, all that stuff is real. And if you don't train, you don't prepare. So I trained my ass off. And it was one of those things where I wanted to prove to myself to do something different that people think is crazy. Like I did stand-up comedy just to try it, you know, and I did that. And running the ultramarathon, I ran like 80 miles in one day.
Oh my God.
With my buddy Marcus for the foundation. So all these different things that I started doing where I was like maybe my buddy Marcus told me, he goes, once you fight, bro, he goes, everything in life's just going to seem easier because like, if you want to lose weight, all you do is just not open your mouth. You don't have to move. You don't have to move.
You don't have to do much.
Right. But when you're training, it's like the most vulnerable thing. But like you were saying, when you're in there, the gates close and it's as real as it gets.
Yeah.
So I felt something for the first time since my pops passed. Is like, man, this is real. And it's something that I can kind of learn and teach myself to mitigate risk and just kind of, you know, if I'm out there, I want to make sure that I'm not getting into any trouble because I'm a knucklehead in my head and always getting mad and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to go from this situation to making something worse and not be here for my mom and my sisters. So the discipline that it showed me carried on to my businesses and everything else that's going on, which is why I'm able to do the things now. But MMA opened up the doors to so many things and just the respect that I have for that, because you can correlate that to anything in life.
Yeah.
And mixed martial arts, before I would see it, I would be in the octagon and for my friends and all that stuff. But when you're in there, it's a different ball game. It's just you against you, you know, and it's as real as it gets, like I said before. And I think that showed me how to calm down more, like think before you speak and just slow down.
Yeah, that's something that I've been working on as well. Like, it's funny because like as I've been getting to know you more, I see myself in you in a lot of ways. You know, a lot of different ways, and I get it. I get what you're saying. Like, I also have a bit of an anger issue, you know?
It's fun, right?
So you need an outlet. That's why combat sports, the martial arts, I consider fighters as artists. You know, their canvas is a cage, right? And their instrument is their body and their mind. And they're expressing violence and they're expressing controlled aggression, you know, because your shadow, the darkest part of you, if you don't know how to express it, it will destroy you. It will destroy you. For years and years and years, I suppressed my rage.
Yeah.
And I was always like a very, I would let people step over me. I let people like sock shit.
It builds up.
And I would just like, hold it deep down. It's like a ball, a basketball in a pool, and you're pushing it down, and it's building freaking tension, it's building potential, it's building, and the deeper you push it down, the heavier it gets. And one day that shit's gonna fucking explode in a violent way where it's uncontrollable. And for me, it got to that point where I was out of my fucking body. You know, there was so much rage and pent up aggression and you name it. Yeah. That I never want to get to that point again in my life. And that was the reason why I decided that I needed to fight. You know, in a confined space where there's rules, there's regulation, there's some padding on my knuckles.
Yeah, you may
have
to fight and not get arrested. That's tight.
Exactly. Don't catch any cases, and you get to express. You get to let go. For me, the process of art is a process of letting go. The best artists are artists that know how to express their emotions through their platform and completely just let go. Like, think of your favorite fighter. They're not worried about, am I going to get knocked out? They're not worried. When they're fighting, they're just all in.
And you know what it is too? Like, being in there, like, I wasn't mad not one time. It was so crazy, you know. And you think of, like, if you know the routine, the mechanics and all that, you're thinking about like transitions and all these different things where you're just doing that. And I was talking to my buddy Tommy Aaron. He was like, oh yeah, I think
shout out to Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy, right? He was like, every man should have one MMA fight before they leave this earth. Even like law enforcement. Yeah. Like, you give these dudes a gun, but you're more likely to get into a fist fight than you are to shoot your gun every day. But you get trained for your gun that you don't use as much as you do your fist, you know?
Yeah. I mean, every culture, every civilization, every tribe, you know, through all history, typically has a process of their young men to transition to adulthood, to become men. You go from boy to man, you know? And in today's society, specifically here in, you know, North America, in the United States, it feels like there isn't any transition. You turn 18 and now you can vote. You can buy some cigarettes. You turn 21, you can go to a bar. You know, 18, you go to a strip club or whatever. That's not a fucking man, you know? A man needs to know how to provide, protect, have a skill. And I think that, yes, most men, if they want to go through that transition, need to know how to control their emotions.
You learn a lot about yourself, whether you like it or not, man. Like with your family, with everything else, where once you're in there and you're fighting in a controlled setting, it forces you to look at everything outside of that. Yeah. When you're done and you're like, okay, if I was able to do this, and that, how can I apply that to my life? And like you were saying, it's the art of that, and it's like a community where like people are so scared of fighters, but they're the nicest guys in the world. Yeah, they are, and they're like really good people. Yeah, but they have a big misconception where they just look at like the old school, you know, the affliction vibe and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Right? You know what's funny? Fighters have changed a lot over the years, you know, because, you know, due to mixed martial arts, you know, the art part of it is a real big component. But before, it was just like mostly just boxing. Boxing was like the main thing.
But it wasn't full combat.
Yeah, you know, so it was more just you learn how to box and then you just put the people in there. So there was a lot of characters where people thought fighters were just dumb, you know, people that didn't have any other opportunities. Like they were like, this is their only chance of becoming successful is you know, getting hit in the head and punching other people in the head. But now you have freaking PhD guys, you got people that are IT techs, you got people that are like all kinds of stuff that are like black belt BJJ guys.
They have their businesses, and it's funny you say that because I tell people, like, just like there's people that are fighters, but they know business like more than anybody. And then there's a big group that just don't. And that's kind of where I help them with that as well, where I tell them, like, you guys need to act like you guys are already in the UFC. What I mean by that is, if you don't even know what your merch is, your logo, this, that, when you get into the UFC, you're going to get guys that are going to help you, but they're going to give you what they want based on what they're going to get, whether good or bad, right? But if you go into the UFC, you're like, oh, I already have my merch, I already have my logo, I already have my business account, I have this, I have that. You're already set to do that. And fighters focus on their weight cut, their opponent, their training, you know, all these different things. But the one thing they don't focus on is their business. And I tell them, you guys are fighters, but I think that you guys are entertainers, and it's a business to put butts in seats. And they think, you know, they have passion, but they think, oh no, I'm a fighter, you know, I'm going to just do this. But promotions care, but they also care about the bottom line is they have bills, they have overhead, they have all these things where it's like, okay, that's cool, but what are you doing to grow yourself and promote yourself, which UNF does a great job at that. They promote their fighters.
UNF is great, man. I want to give a huge shout out to Ryan and Chris and George and everybody that's part of the UNF team, because they are building a brand. They are building their fighters. They are building something that's going to last a long time. And I really want to get into what you just talked, because I 1,000% back everything you're saying, because I work with fighters as well. I interview them, and then I shoot digital marketing content for them to help them build their brand. So I've created logos for fighters. I've gotten them sponsors. I've helped them, you know, build up their brand, because at the end of the day, that is how they're going to get compensated. You know, there's some fighters that are amazing, you know, but they're not great at marketing and branding themselves.
Or they're privates, or they sell clothes.
Or you know, and because of that, when it comes to negotiating their contract, they don't have leverage. Why is it that Conor McGregor today, he can book a fight and he will make millions and millions and millions of dollars, and then you'll look at another athlete right now that's undefeated, right? That is freaking killing it at the prime of his game. Conor McGregor's lost his last couple of fights.
He hasn't won in 7 years.
Yeah, he fights like one every 5 years or something. He's a multi-million. But why is it that he get paid that, and this other fighter that's at the top of his game is getting paid, you know, maybe a couple $100,000? It's because he does what you said. He puts butts in seats. And the way he did that was he built a brand, and his brand is him. And fighters are a brand, like you said. So why don't you get into your philosophy and maybe some of your input on what you think up-and-coming fighter should do to build their brand, and how does that connect to Fight Night Customs?
Yeah, so, and I was talking to Chris Buckner about this, just how, you know, helping fighters and figuring out how I can help them build their brand by, like, if they sell, I tell the fighters, if you guys sell 50 tickets, then you should sell 50 t-shirts. You know, so when you're going out there and you're looking at your business where, oh, I got to just train, I got to make it to fight night, that's one part of it. But I tell them, you got to look at things at a macro and a micro level, right? And the macro is, oh, I have a fight night this Saturday at Commerce Casino. That's macro. And I said, okay, what are the intangibles in between? And I'm creating a service for the fighters to kind of do an audit of them. Just like when they go to a gym or they look at if they're needing to cut weight or gain weight, look at their macros, right? High protein, low carb, or if they're heavyweights, they got to gain weight and all these different things. I said, just like you put protein in your body, you got to put protein in your account, in your checking account, right? So I more like the financial literacy aspect, which is cool that I have that background where I sit and I talk to them about their credit. I talk about their website. If they don't have one, you guys should be doing merch drops. You guys sell 100 tickets, sell 100 t-shirts or 80 t-shirts. That's all money for you in your pocket. If you don't have money, there's other programs that I have where they can have passive income, where I'll put the money, do a pre-sale and all those things. So just showing them that they're a business and they just don't have people to show them, because they're not, if they don't get something out of it, they're not going to really do something, right? And for me, I have, you know, a passion for it, and I've seen and I've lived with fighters, and I've been able to see the successes of them building their brand and growing. And that's something that I think is missing, is a financial literacy aspect. I see it in my day job where they don't teach how to balance a checkbook or debt to income ratios or loan to values in high school, but you have like 9 woodshop classes. Why? It's weird. Because I think as a society, we're built to breed employees, not employers.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
The educational system is a system to teach people to be employees, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why they don't teach them all of these tools that they need to run a successful business.
Yeah.
They teach them how to take orders, how to remember things, and how to be a cog in a machine instead of being the machinist or the person that creates the machine. Unless you go to college and then you specifically study to do that, which is more specialized. So I do back what you're saying, where I think in public schools and in the elementary, middle school, and high school years, there should be some type of courses to teach, the youth and just everybody on how to do these basic things that, even regardless of whether you're an employee or not, you need to know this information.
Yeah. And fighters, like they fight, and if they make it to the big show, awesome. And a lot of them choose not to, or they just didn't work out for them. They could have been great fighters, great record.
Yeah.
And what do they go back to is their gym, their privates, and opening up that type of stuff, right? So I tell the fighters, start doing that now, start building your stuff now, because it's not like you're giving up on the fighting or you're not paying attention to it. It's all interoperable.
Yeah.
So when it's like this and this doesn't work out, okay, well, I got my store here, I have my clients here, I have my privates here, I have a website to help them book sessions and do all these different things. So once it's set up, there's no anxiety like, oh man, if the fight game's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. It's the chances of making it are very, very, very small.
You have to do a lot of things to get there. And when you get there, when you go to the UFC, there is no easy fights, bro. They're going to throw you in there.
They're going to challenge you right away.
They're going to challenge you right away. And you could either be the guy that proves them right or wrong. Either way, the UFC is going to win, because they're like, oh, okay, well, we got the guy to win that we wanted to. Or oh, this guy came out of nowhere. Now we have a superstar in our hands. Like Sean O'Malley came around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree, man. Like, I think what I do with fighters when I sit down with them. What is that? Sorry about that. I think my phone turned on some music.
Setting the mood.
Setting the mood. Well, like I was saying, when I sit down with fighters and I help them build their brand, the first thing I want to find out from them is, why they're doing what they're doing, so that you can build off of that. And then you want to find out who your target audience is. Like I just had Jake Babian on.
Oh yeah.
And he's he has a great brand.
He's the epitome of what fighters should be, I think.
Yeah, he's perfect when it comes to branding, marketing. And like he was saying, he's half Armenian, half Italian, and he has the Barbabian mafia.
Yeah.
So his target audience, he has his audience, and you cater to your audience and you build off of that. Because I don't care, who you are. If you don't have fans, if you don't have people that want to come see you fight, then your marketability and your negotiation and your leverage is very minimal.
No,
it's nothing. And obviously you want to have everything else. You want to have the full package. You want to be a great fighter. You want to have highlight knockouts or highlight moments where like they're putting your shit out and it's like blowing up everywhere. Be like, damn, do you see that knockout? Damn, do you see the way he did that?
Yeah.
You want to have your heart, which is like, man, this dude doesn't quit. Like all of these components are part of building something that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Like when you think of the greatest fighters, they have all of these different things working for them that creates something that is like amazing. And it's like it's rare, it's rare. So what you want to do is you want to put yourself in a position to be rare, and that's all the back work that you have to do before you even get to the show. So for any fighter out there, like I really, really, really respect and commend all fighters, because I understand the amount of work, effort, and planning that goes before you even get into the cage, know? So I did want to talk to you about your fight, because I ask all of the fighters this stuff, like what was going through your mind, prepping for the fight? I think back of this interview with, it's actually a movie, a documentary with Mike Tyson, and he talks about leading up to the fight. He's like, weeks before the fight, I'm scared. I'm thinking of this guy knocking me out. I'm thinking of this guy, humiliating me. I'm scared. I'm getting closer to the fight. I'm backstage. I'm scared. I'm terrified. I'm feeling my knuckles press against my gloves. I'm getting closer to the cage. My confidence is raising. I'm getting closer to the cage and my confidence is raised. I step in the cage. I'm a fucking king. Nobody can stop me. That's his process. But everybody's different. Other people think differently. So I'm curious to hear, like, what was your thought process going into the fight? And then once you went into the cage, Like, did it all go away? Were you stressed out? Were you excited? Like, tell me about that.
Honestly, man, I wasn't. Like, I told myself, let me do a lot of the hard work and training. And what I mean by that is, in my head, when I walked in there, I'm like, none of these fools ran 80 miles. None of these dudes did. Like, I put in the work, and I trained with all these dudes that like beat me up. Like, I remember when I cried, bro. I had like black eyes, bloody nose in training, where like I went through the trenches. Like, I remember my buddy John came into systems, and he did this circuit kind of training where I was in there sparring with dudes that would take me to the ground, and then fresh bodies. And I was going, where I literally
like a gauntlet.
Bro, I thought I was going to die, like fight or flight type deal, right? I was throwing up and all that stuff, where I said, keep going, where they broke me, and they broke me, and they broke me. And I'm like, there's no way that's going to happen in the fight, because I just prepared. And it's like when you prepare, I just went in with that mentality where like, I know it's not going to hurt as much as I hurt there. So I wasn't really even focused. I was focused more on, all right, technicalities. Like, if this dude doesn't come at me in the first 15 seconds, I'm going to do this. Yeah. So I broke down every minute from every round by 30 seconds. Yeah. And then obviously there's intangibles that you don't know, but then this dude came at me like within the first 5. So it was just all countering all night, and just, there were some points where I'm like, damn, this is crazy. Like, I announced that I was going to have a daughter in the octagon. Nobody knew but my wife. Oh, wow. And my mom met my mother-in-law that night. Yeah. You know, and then So
you had a lot going for you that day.
And I said, if I don't win, I'm not going to get the microphone to announce all that stuff. So I'm going through all that. I wasn't thinking about the fight the whole time. You were
thinking about...
Yeah. And I'm not a shy guy. I'm not an embarrassed. Yeah. I don't get embarrassed easily. And I knew that I put in the work. If I didn't, I'd be nervous. But I felt it a little when they closed the cage, and then Twinkle Toes, what's his name? The ref, I forgot what his name is. I keep forgetting. He was a ref, and he looked. He's like, "Are you ready?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
That's funny.
Met in the middle, and it was
Beltran, Mike Beltran.
No, bald dude.
Okay. I can't remember his name, but I know you're talking about.
Twinkle Toes is his like nickname.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and then when I was in there, it was more honestly, bro. I had fun because I was just like waiting to try out the things that I did in training. Yeah. Because you go hard sparring, you're in there. So I have already felt that being on the ground. We did, and then Alta program, they do an amazing job at showing you what you're gonna see as much as they can. Yeah. And it's like they're building a house, so they only focus on the striking, the shadow, the foundation, and then the next day is this, and then do strength and conditioning, and then this, and then by the time you get there, if you show up to class and you do what you're supposed to do, you're learning from the best coaches.
Yeah, the way that I say it is competence builds confidence. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if I were to go to LAX right now, and then they say, fly that fucking plane, I would be very, very scared and I would be insecure, and I'll be like, I'm going to crash this shit. I don't know what the fuck I know nothing of these buttons here. But if I went to a flight school for 3 years, and I, co-piloted next to a guy for another 3 years, and now I'm 5 to 6 years into this career as a pilot, and I have my pilot's license, and this is my first time flying a plane, I'm going to be very, very confident because I know how to fly this shit, even though this is my first time. Mm-hmm. So I get it. For anybody that wants to do something big, you need to build your confidence to competence. And the way you do that is through mentorship, guidance, and teaching from coaches, professionals. I'm a storyteller, so I tell stories. And in the storyline, the hero's journey, you're a hero in your storyline. And in the hero's journey, the first step in the hero's journey is called the calling, or the step into the unknown. What that means is that you get this feeling, this urge, this desire that nobody can take away from you to want to do something that is out of the ordinary. Mm-hmm. For you, it was to leave the bank and go into a fucking cage, where everybody in your life's like, what are you doing? You're going to get hurt. Why do you want to do that? You have a great career here. Like, just don't do that. You're too old. You're too young. You're too this. You're too that. No. Right? But the hero has a calling. They have to do this. Mm-hmm. They have to. There's no way around it. Choice. So you go off on this journey, right? And on your journey, the first step, the next step is called the mentorship. You find a wizard. So that was your coaches. That was the Alta program. Yep. What they teach you is how to find your power, your power. And the way that you find your power is really at the brink of death, at the brink of disaster, where you felt like you were going to die when they put you through that gauntlet. That is where you find your power. So the middle part of the hero's journey is facing the dragon. When you face the dragon, that's the biggest obstacle. If you overcome it, you come back with something called an elixir. An elixir is a potion, a power, something that you drink, and it's different for every person. For some people, they drink this is going to make me the most confident person in the world. I drink this is going to make me extremely strong. I drink this is going to make me really smart. It makes me invincible, makes me 10 feet tall, whatever it is. And it's unique to you. And the way that you find that is you have to do really, really, really hard shit, you know, which is why most people are not heroes. They are quote unquote cowards because they don't take the call. And, you know, like in the Matrix, Morpheus was the wizard, the mentor, and he told him, you decide. You can either take this pill and we go down this rabbit hole and you find your power and you find your truth and you find your freedom, or you take this pill and you go back to your ordinary, go back to your cubicle, go back to the shit that you were living. They call it a quiet life of desperation, which means you're alive, but you're not living. You know? You're like that ball that I was talking about that's under the water. You're just down there, bro, waiting to explode.
And you know, they say like, if you want to eat a cheeseburger, right, you eat it and you feel the good part without doing any work. If you take that formula in anything, you're going to see the success. Like, you have to run 15 miles, you're tired, you're going through pain first. And then when pain comes first and then good feeling comes after, it's usually something positive. Oh, I'm dieting, oh, I'm hurting. And then what happens? You lose weight. That's the good thing. Or if you drink a beer, you feel good right away. But you did nothing to earn that. So when I think lazy people, they like that because they're able to feel good without doing any work. And if you incorporate that into diet, exercise, saving money, it's easy to go spend, but it hurts to save. And then what happens after? Oh man, I saved all this money. That's good. So good things come second, bad feelings come first. And I think that's how you can kind of get success.
I agree 1,000%. And we live in a society right now where it's easy to get a quick fix, a quick dopamine rush, you know, and it could be as simple as your phone, you know, where you could just go on there and you can disassociate from the world for hours on your phone and then realize you just wasted your time. You did absolutely nothing. And you could do that with food. You could do that with alcohol. You could do that with drugs. You can do that with a lot of different things. And the reason why, you know, this show is important for me is because, one, it's allowing me to heal myself. And two, it allows me to hear other people's stories, to pull from their wisdom of how they've been able to accomplish what they did. Because I know that for people to accomplish something, it required discipline and waiting before they get that dopamine rush. And that
program literally like saved me, bro. Like it's crazy. And then like I don't know if you know, Conor McGregor's coach started that program. So like DC and Lord Senko, they all kind of back it. I think, and then Gilbert Melendez. He's like one of the coaches there now too. So it's growing huge in Ireland too.
That's awesome.
And I like people that were in my class. Some of them, they were IT guys. Other person was in sales. Like, it's just people, like normal people. That shows if you put your effort into this and stick to the routine and the process, you'll learn to the point where you'll get the guts to do it, because you're studying for the SATs, right? You're studying. So when the test comes, you know you're prepared. It's the same thing. So anybody that's listening, if you want to challenge yourself, the Altar Warrior program, I'm telling you, that thing just helped me catapult everything. It opened up so many doors, and even now with what I got going on in combat sports, and just it's like a weird cool thing that I'm a part of, and it wouldn't have happened. But mixed martial arts saved me, bro. It helped me kind of, I think, leave the old skin of who I was before my pops, and then after, making him proud and just trying to like now help people that are going through something gnarly like I did, and like, who are you? What's your why? Like you were saying, right? And build from that and just try to help people. As corny as that sounds, you know?
Once you have a bigger purpose other than just yourself, it makes it not easier, but it allows you to push through the pain a lot more.
It's easier.
You know,
Yeah.
when you're doing something that's selfish, it's easy to quit, you know, because it's just me. But when it's like, shit, I can't let down my mom, I can't let down my dad, I can't let down my wife, my kids, whatever it is, when it's bigger than you, then you have a purpose, you know. And I think a lot of people struggle with that part of finding their purpose in life and finding what they're good at and finding what brings joy to them. And that's the process of life. You get to decide. You get to pick whatever the hell you want, you know? So you took your first fight, you won. And then at this point, did you already have Fight Night Customs or no? So tell us how that came to be and how it built up to where it is today.
Yeah, so I retired undefeated. So on Grapology,
Damn,
I'm
undefeated in the house.
So every time people fight and lose or win, every time somebody fights and loses or wins, my record keeps going up. Like, oh, I'm ranked 198 or whatever.
That's funny.
So I started doing, the company was called, I used to be a district manager for a sports company called Just Sports. I was going to call it Just Merch USA, right? That's how it started.
Yeah.
Just being a screen printer, which is what I have of embroidery and screen printing.
Yeah.
But like the low hanging fruit is doing merch for like a plumbing store or whatever, right? Like restaurant, that's easy to go do. Hey, you need shirts, they're already buying them. It's there.
Yeah.
But 99% of my customers were fighters and entertainers and people in the fight game. So I was like, well, my brand doesn't really mirror what I'm doing now. What do I do? And then I called my buddy Clay Guida and just asked him for some advice because he's been in the game, for a long time.
Yeah, I love Clay, man. Amazing fighter.
And he told me, he goes, you know what, bro? He goes, you got to.
He's got an interesting style of fighting.
He does, right? yeah.
Just the way he moves is
nice
like
guy,
so unorthodox.
Yeah, he's a little energizer bunny.
Yeah.
Right? And he was like, why don't you separate them, bro? He goes, have the merch thing be that, but then just focus on the fighters. And a long time ago, he's the one that gave me the name Fight Night Customs.
Oh, wow.
When he was first coming up, he wanted to partner with a screen printer, but it's really hard to do that when, the screen printers need to get volume. And, it was, now I get the politics of it, but he was like, hey, if it's not taken or whatever, and I thought of the name like West Coast Custom, Fight Night Customs. And he goes, do that and then focus on the fighters and the shorts and just focus on one thing, create a utility around that, and then build from that. And then I literally took his advice that right away, and I started just doing that. And when I came up with that name, people started recognizing it. And then again, thank God to UNF and the whole Buckner family and George. First and foremost, George gave me the opportunity to kind of vouch for me because I've known George for like 15 years. Yeah. Just because I was always handling the tickets for my boy John that was fighting. Yeah. So just kind of went in through it like that, and then they allowed me to not just sell merch for them, but then Chris is like, I want you to build your own thing. I want you to have an abundance of money. Like, how can we help each other? So I had to keep raising my game because UNF, every card, they keep raising their game. Yeah. So I don't want to be left behind like, oh, this guy's just a banker helping them sell merch, which is cool, but I had no identity. So then I slowly, all the fighters already knew me from before because of the financing game and all that, where like Taco, everybody, they were coming to me, Chase Gibson, they're all coming to me and they were like, hey, help me with this, help me with that. And then I got like their respect even more. Yeah. Started growing, and then it forced me to build my website. It forced me to get better at like the cut and sew with the shorts and the fight kits, which I'm doing now with the websites. So I just kept elevating because it was hard work, but it didn't seem like work because I was freaking enjoying it. I still do. I can't wait for this card coming up on Saturday. Yeah, your products and the quality of everything you do is really, really professional and very clean. Well, there's a segue. I have something for you. Can I give that to you right now? Oh yeah, let's do it. Yeah. What do we got here, brother? Dang. I always come bearing gifts. So there we go. Hell yeah, look at that. Dreams to reality. Shoo. I only had reds on it. This is clean, brother. Oh, hell yeah, bro. A t-shirt. I love it, man. This is awesome. Guys, if you need any merchandise, you know who to hit up. Hit up my brother Rudy, Fight Night Customs. He's going to hook you up. Oh, that's a sick-ass sweater, brother. Hell yeah. Oh, look at that. Dang, that's clean, bro. Sweet. You can turn your dreams to reality, brother. That's right. So just that's awesome. Like right now, seeing your face right now, to me, that's currency, right? And it's been my success and my downfall because my wife says, stop giving stuff away. Yeah, that's funny. But I just love seeing like putting people, like tell people, people's brand's my brand. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I see the look on people's face when I do something for them and put their logo, because that logo means a lot to you. Every logo has a story behind it or a story that they want it to be told.
Yeah.
So when I started seeing that, I'm like, man, I'm gonna chase that, you know. And I just put my heart into everything, which is why I just even invested in like a $30,000 embroidery.
I just saw that, bro. That's freaking awesome, man.
It's crazy, bro.
Congratulations, by the way.
I bought that thing at 3 a.m, bro. I don't sleep, dude. And I was like, she's like, where are you going? I'm like, oh, I gotta go do something.
Yeah.
I'm like, screw it. Boom. And then like I'm taking classes, like I'm learning how to use this thing, but I want to keep elevating my game to where I have a lot of cool things that are coming up where it's going to be pretty dope to see. And just, I'm letting my audience, my customers, my people dictate where the company is going to go based on the skill sets and the utility that I have with this. Because we do screen printing, we do embroidery, we do all that stuff, but it's more than that. It's a brand. It's a, people see, if you look at my Instagram, I never really post like I'm selling something. Mm-hmm. It's just the vibe. And then when they go on the website, it tells you that, but I'm selling the vibe. If you look at Pepsi, Red Bull, they don't have like, oh, buy a 24 pack of whatever.
Yeah. You're building a brand.
It's a feeling you get, right? So that's kind of what I've been letting my thing drive, is my passion, and seeing somebody else light up when I give them something. I'm like, man, if I could do that for the rest of my life, I'll be so happy. So that's what I'm doing right now, bro. I'm really trying to get better.
That's awesome.
Fail fast, succeed quicker, and just.
That's why I said, like, I see so many similarities to you in me and you, you know?
Yeah.
Because my logo, my company, Dreams to Reality, is exactly the same thing as you. My goal is to help people turn their dreams into reality. Mm-hmm. You know, whatever that is. You know, for you, that's turning Fight Night Customs into a giant brand. That's, you know, you're doing what you love. For fighters, it might be them, you know, promoting their fight business. For artists that I have in here that they want to be actors or singers, I am helping them build their brand by putting their story out for people to connect with them and humanize with them and be like, oh man, not only is this person a great you know, screen printer and has a great, but I like Rudy. People buy from people that they like, people that they trust, people that they love.
There's a saying that goes, the customer doesn't care what you know until they know you care. Yeah. You know, and like for me, I'm building that where I want to make it easy for the fighter to start their own clothing line, merch drops, and not just fighters. I do a lot of stuff with a lot of entertainers, and my buddy Steven Romero introduced me to a lot of these actors. He's an actor himself, and Lux Studios and Movies by Misfits. I did a lot of merch for them. Erica People, she's an actress, did a bunch of varsity jackets for her.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like doing all these different things where I am not just making merch, like I'm helping people set up their websites if they want to sell. Like I lease and host website domains. Yeah. Merch drops, if you need your logo fixed or created, all those different things where I'll have a consultation with the fighter or the actor, the athlete, the entertainer, and say, hey, what do you want to do? You want to do a merch drop? Do you want to do a clothing line? Do you want to create a logo? Do you want to do something with your nonprofit and create merch? And nobody's really doing that. So I looked at like the holes in the market of where I can try to learn from that, get good at it, and create it into a utility that you can kind of grow, scale scalability.
Oh yeah, brother.
Right? And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Yeah,
that's freaking awesome, man. So is your website active now?
So it's active right now, and I literally have some stuff that's coming out. It's being revamped like as we speak right now, so it should be ready hopefully by the time that we go to the show this weekend.
By this weekend?
Yeah, but it's already up. You can go on there and you can put in like what your requirements are, but I'm just making it more, I'm adding more pages to kind of look, you know, I'm going to put my work up there, what I do, a lot of testimonials, and just fix it to where I I don't know what I'm doing with this thing, but now I'm in it and I'm making it now to where now I know what the market needs. Yeah. And the website's going to show that in a week or so.
Yeah. Elon Musk talks about this a lot, and you know, I bring it up from time to time for other business owners and entrepreneurs, is you always need to have a working prototype. Yeah. You know, a working prototype is like, hey, let's you have an idea. Yeah. For him, it was let's make the most cost-effective and efficient electric car. Yeah. They're like, okay, where is it at? You know, if you don't have a working prototype to work from, then it's all just an idea.
If you don't have a website, your company's not real.
Yeah. You need to have something. You need to have something. So for you've invested a lot into your business. Yeah. So you have a business, you know, you have your website, you have your machines that you invested, you have a network of people that you can pull business from. And now it's a matter of scaling it through getting clientele and through getting different business, you know? So you're doing it, brother.
Yeah. And
you're fucking doing it.
Like I had corporations that say, well, where's your website? Right. Cause I could have all the machines in the world. I could have all the contacts in my phone, but they, again, just like the Buckners and UNF, they made me level up. So then now my clients that are like a lot of high-end clients that I have, I had to step up my game. I can't have this Fugazi website. It's kind of whack or not even there where it's like, oh, text me your order. Like, that's cool for this market. But if you want to grow,
we live in a digital world now where everything's online.
And you got to get paid by communication. You know, the richest people, it's communicating. You have like subscriptions and you have things that the hardest worker is not just the guy that's, you know, shoveling the whatever. It's the person that's able to communicate a need in a niche market. You have to find something that people need and find an easy way to communicate of how you're going to help them and make it easy for them. And that's kind of where it happened and trust me, it's hard. Like I'm going to go work after this tonight, you know, but it's cool. Cause like you were saying, I'm earning it first. I'm hurting right now. Like with the training, but I could see, and I get glimpses of it. Even this weekend's cool. Cause I'm going to actually have my stuff out there and
hell yeah, brother.
I'm one of the sponsors of the fight and stuff. And, it's just cool to see, even like seeing Nate Diaz's logo next to mine and all that stuff to represent.
That's
like,
freaking awesome, bro.
And that stuff's cool, you know, but then I'm like, I can't deposit that cool story in the bank. You know, you gotta at some point scale and what utility am I offering? And I'm always open to ideas, suggestions to level myself up. And that's kind of where I'm at.
So what is the long-term vision of Fight Night Customs? What are your goals, brother? What do you want to accomplish?
My goals with Fight Night Customs is to ultimately have a huge warehouse where I have a full print, embroidery, screen printing, a bunch of employees, and a lot of them hopefully are fighters that I can help kind of give a job and mentor them, and just have like a big. I think of like Rob Dyrdek's Fantasyland, you know. And I actually got a chance to go there with Clay. He took us up there one day, bro. It was cool.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, man, it was so cool. So my thing is I want to have a kind of like a studio like this where I have a bunch of embroidery machines, a bunch of everything. I have people working where I'm not doing it, but I'm getting paid by communicating, right? So I can not have to be the worker, which right now I am. But I want to be the guy that goes to the events and quit my job. You know, I work at the financial sector as a regional manager where it's great, pension, all that stuff. But I'll walk away from that. And if I could just do this where I can come here and I have to worry about, I have to go to work tomorrow. Right? And have a studio where people come in, we're doing a merch drop. I have a little studio here. You could take, you know, do your pictures or do this or that, or like, I'm helping you build your website. Or I have a sea of just people on the phones just say, hey, let's have a consultation. Let's build whatever. And
so for people that don't know this, I'm sure you know this, but you know, there's 4 different ways to earn an income. You know, one of them is being an employee. The other one is being self-employed. The other one is being a business owner, and the other one is being an investor. So those are the 4 ways. So right now you're self-employed and you're an employee. You're an employee at the bank, where you're trading your time for money, and then you're self-employed where you are trading your product or your service for money. So it's no longer time; it's a product or a service that you have to provide for income. That requires you to be there regardless. When you're self-employed, you're essentially creating a job for yourself.
Yes.
You're creating a job for yourself. And the transition from self-employed to business owner, it's difficult for a lot of people because they are caught up in the minutia of the job or the skill or whatever, you know, exactly how to do this, instead of learning how to systemize a business
systems
that other people can replicate. If you cannot replicate yourself, then you are never going to have a business.
And that's what I'm working on now, where like I tell my wife, if I die tomorrow, everything's in here, bro. In here and in here. I talk to everybody. So this thing will be done. I have to put a process of like, okay, here are my vendors. Here are my contacts. This is how you log into the computer. This is how you
know
make a hat.
Why it's so difficult for the self-employed person to start the business is one of them is finding good employees. and the other one is finding trustworthy people. Same thing as employees, because you can give them what you have in your phone and in here, and guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna take it and start their own. You're gonna create your own competition. So, which is why a lot of family businesses, or people try to keep everything in the family, because they can't go nowhere. They're part of the family, and even then, though, sometimes they steal. Like, my brother stole $2 million from you or some shit.
This is Finite Customs 2 3 S's or something.
Exactly. You know, so it's tricky, dude. It's really hard. So again, it's the same thing as anything that's worth having is going to be a fight. That's why one of my mottos in life is that life is a fucking fight. You either participate or you get fucked up. That's my motto, you know? And you have to line up things in your favor, and you have to understand what it is that you're doing, why you're doing it, and then be really disciplined for a good amount of time. I would say like to have this is from my experience, at least, 3 to 5 years.
You have to, bro.
And even then, the chances of it happening, most people that I've known that have successful businesses, it took them at least a couple of failed businesses before they got to the one where they got it, you know? So it's okay to go through ups and downs in business. The hard part for me, and I'm sure most people is in those down times, because what happens is when you're succeeding, when you're winning the fights, when you're undefeated like you, it's sunshine and rainbows, and people are on your side, and like, hey, I saw you, like, oh, can I get some business from you? Like, and like you go here and like, oh, hey, you're that Fight Night Custom guy. Hey. But when things are down, when nobody's fucking answering your calls, when your client says, hey, I need to cancel that, like, hey, can I get a refund on this? Like, hey, you fucked up all these orders, or like some shit bad happens. You're like, fuck. And you're looking at your bank account, and you're looking at your bills, and you're looking at all this bad stuff that's happening. That is when you have to stay calm. It's like a fight. When you're getting fucking punched and kicked and all seems like doom and gloom, that is when you have to be the most calm.
It all comes back to fighting, bro.
And you have to go back to the fundamentals. So what happens a lot of the times is that when you start to win, you stop focusing on the fundamentals and you start to be like flashy.
Well, you
this
enjoy
and that.
the good part of it. And it happened to me, bro. I gained a little weight. It's like, okay, like you got here, but then, had a kid, had this business, all this stuff, and then you're like, okay, you were cool here, but now, like, can you even do this or that? So you gotta keep that going, and like, at the end of the day, you have to have systems in place. If you can take 5 years and not have any systems where you're gonna, it's like you just started. Yeah,
one thing that I was gonna tie into what I just said was what Clay was telling you, like focus on one thing. What that means is like you have like McDonald's. McDonald's was built on hamburgers and fries, cheeseburgers and fries.
Master that.
And that's where they make all of their money from. And then once they had their systems, they had everything in order, then they started to add, let's add the McFlurry, let's add the chicken sandwich, let's add the little salad. But their business was built off of that, so that's what you have to kind of do you have to figure it out. Figure out what your burgers and fries are, because that's going to be your main money maker. And then from that, they call it the goose that lays the golden egg. You have your goose that lays the golden egg, and you take that gold and then you fund all your other projects, all the other shit you want to do. But that one thing you better not forget. This is the thing that's paying the bills. This is what's keeping the lights on. This is what's funding everything. And that's what I'm trying to figure out, because I'm in the same boat as you, in a different world, but in the same way, I'm trying to do the same thing.
And they tell people, like, how they say, oh, you have building different streams of income, right? And I agree, but I disagree a little bit. What I mean by this, what you just said, is you can do all that, but before you start building different streams, you have to build, what is your cheeseburger? Or like, what is your one thing that you do very well? Monetize it and scale it. And now it's working. Okay, now what do I add? Okay, now let me add this to it and this to it. That's kind of where I'm at too, where I know how to do all these things, but I got to get good at one thing first. And that's kind of where I saw success, because then I got really good at making shorts. I got really good at getting these dudes logos where, like, send me your logo, and they send me a freaking picture with their mom in the background. You know what I mean? So all those things, I have all this funny content, where one thing that I am working on, which obviously is I'm going to start my YouTube channel, Fight Night Customs or FN Customs, where it's literally, I'm not adding one more thing. It's just one more thing that is everything.
Yeah.
Like going to UNF, behind the scenes stuff that we're lucky, you and I, that we get to be allowed behind the scenes. And that's a lot of trust, right? Because there's so many things that happen where if I can put this out, where I'll do something where the fighter comes in and we're talking about their merch or whatever, just to show them what I do, or they come and play a game of horse, but instead of horse, it's their opponent's last name. Yeah. And they get a discount on fun content that I can start creating, where I can start growing the channel and showing my journey, my story. And then at the end of the day, bro, I want to have something to show my daughter. Yeah. So when she gets older, she sees like, hey, like, it's not just going to college. It's like finding everybody here was blessed with a gift, whether you like collecting marbles, pogs, you like to sew. There's niche markets all over the world. Yeah. You like
there's that little kid that sells toys.
Bro, there's this lady online that was collecting napkins, dude.
What the hell?
And she had like napkins all over. And I was like, she weirded out my night, but I'm like, I get it. You know? So that's kind of where I'm at, where I'm just trying to find my way with that. I think and the YouTube channel is going to bring everything together.
Yeah, it's a smart way. Like, you know, a lot of times people don't get the differences between, you know, marketing, branding, and advertising.
They're all three different things. You know,
they're similar, but they're completely different, you know, and they all play a role into your overall business plan, right? And marketing is anything that gets your name out there so that when people do need you,
it gives you an at-bat.
They remember, like, oh yeah, I need some shirts. Like, oh yeah, I always watch this guy's content about, you know, he's having these things or that things. Like, oh, I've been thinking of doing this. Oh, they think of that person. You know, so that's why, you know, McDonald's doesn't need to do any marketing, but guess what? They're constantly doing it because every corner you go, you see them. It's trusted. It's trusted.
You know, the fries are going to taste the same.
Yeah, everywhere you want to have trust. Mm-hmm. You know, you want your business to be reliable. So the marketing part is very, very crucial for a lot of businesses because for startup companies, you don't have an advertising budget. You know, advertising means you have to pay someone to market your stuff out there. You could do your marketing yourself. You know, social media is free. You can do Google. You could do YouTube. You could do podcasts. You could do Instagram. You could do TikTok. There's a lot of different outlets for you to market your brand for free. Yeah. You know, and you can build a following from that. And from that following, you could cross-pollinate with other people, and that grows your brand, you know? So that's essentially what I'm doing with my podcast is I'm cross-pollinating with others' audiences.
You're killing it, bro. You got a lot of people coming up here.
Oh, thanks, brother. Man, you know, cool. I'm curious in hearing people's stories. You know, and like I said, I'm here to help people turn their dreams into reality. And part of that is getting your story out there and promoting your brand, you know, so I'm grateful for anyone that takes time out of their day to come talk to me.
Of course. No, thank you for having me come down here, man. It was cool. I saw Jake here. He was at my house right before he went on his, before he got hurt when he had that tournament.
Yeah. When his shoulder was dislocated.
And here talking about fighters, they know what they're doing, bro. Like he was giving me ideas like, and then I can get a shirt that throw it to the crowd.
He has a lot of really cool ideas.
Like, we can get the fans to help me decide what logo I can get. And then I was like, you know, you vibe, right? Yeah. So then I was like, oh, this dude gets it. Yeah. And there's a lot of fighters that do, and then a whole lot that don't. And the ones that don't, it excites me just as much, if not more, because I see the opportunity to get them to where Jake is. But then with Jake, I could help him now because he needs the utility that I offer, where it's just like, okay, let's do business. And then this business is let's create the business or show me, teach me, and then I have the financial background where I could still teach them the basic mechanics of what they should be doing, which every fighter that's listening should have at the very least a DBA, sole proprietor account. Yeah. Because when you get paid and the promoter's like, who do you want to get paid to? If you say, oh, get paid to Rudy Rubio, that they're going to know that, well, this guy doesn't have a business account. As opposed to, oh, pay to Dreams to Reality LLC. Yeah. The first thing they're like, oh, this guy at least has this guy's either has a CPA or he's got somebody in his ear that's telling him. Yeah. Because when you're commingling funds and all that stuff, it's just, they're not even really like they're training, they're doing all these things. But if you're not building your brand with even just your business account, you're not really even like, if you don't have a website, your business doesn't exist. If you don't have a business account, you're just a person that's fighting and getting paid as a individual, not as an entity. And you're a contract hired person. Yeah, and it's also important for tax purposes and all that stuff, bro. A lot of different reasons. And then you get audited, then you're like, damn, like you have Taco Bell, and then you have, why about Shin Guards? Yeah. And then your ticket sales money, and then like, oh, your DoorDash. Yeah. You know, your CPA is like, oh, geez, bro, like,
Yeah.
Just go to TurboTax.
Yeah. So any fighters out there that need some help with their finances, hit up my brother Rudy as well. If you need some fight gear, custom, sponsors out there, connect with my brother here. He's got some amazing merchandise, and he can help you with your branding, your logos, and your merchandise. Is there any final message you want to leave, brother, to the audience out there?
I'm excited for things that are going to come out on my website, and just the program that I'm building to help the fighters build their brand. And I'm just thankful, man, just for the fighting community that kind of accepted me with open arms. And shout out to UNF for, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have the platform to even be able to like connect with the fighters and do all those things. So just thank you to UNF, to be honest with you, man.
Hell yeah.
They really they're just really nice, kind-hearted people, man. It's hard to find people like that at that level, especially running a promotion like that where there's so many things that happen behind the scenes, but they're super, just really good people. Hell
yeah, brother. Well, I'll be seeing you on Saturday, July 6th. Guys, get your tickets now. UNF 19 is going to be a banger. They got like some sick ass fights. We got that Cisco fight with what's his name? Oh my, I left my
Strader.
Yeah, with Strader part 2. That one's going to be awesome. We got the Bully fighting what's his name?
He's fighting
the Lion Lily. Yeah, that's gonna be a dope fight. They're both really good strikers, bro. Like, I'm curious to see what's gonna happen. Like, it's gonna be a knockout.
And a heavyweight match too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I can't remember the guy's name, but they're
bodybuilder dude.
Yeah, they have some really good fights, so I'm excited for that. And UNF always, it's a show.
4 championship fights that.
Hell yeah, brother. Guys, make sure to follow my brother on Instagram. Go to his website, fightnightcustoms.com.
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah, guys, subscribe to the YouTube Silo Talk, Dreams to Reality, and we'll see you guys next time.